First time I ever tried screaming, I'm guessing this will go for 99% of the people ever watching this, was in the car to a cassette. Just like anyone, like I think it's a very hard thing to ever contemplate. How do I even make that noise? For me, it was like, I'll be really honest, it was listening to Hatebreed. Hatebreed were the band that inspired me to do what I do, because at that point in time I couldn't sing, I couldn't be in a punk rock band, and heavy bands started really attracting me. So the first time I ever screamed was like literally sitting in a car, getting really, really excited and just trying to emulate the sound of what you think screaming is. And when you start doing it, it's you literally just scream like that primal scream, which is not the same thing as actually having a microphone and using a vocal technique. And the sound that came out was definitely not the sound you hear these days. When I first started doing this stuff, like this was before, man, this makes me feel old. This is before YouTube even existed. So there was no concept of technique, and there was no way of finding out how this was done other than listening to a tape and going, that sounds like this band, so I'm gonna like try and emulate that. But you had no guidance in whatever way to do it. So these days you do, like YouTube is full of people with their theories on it. Some of them I go, that's interesting. And some of them I go, man, you're way off. You're gonna be hurting yourself doing that. So for me, it was literally just try and like directly copy. I think the thing that, the best advice I'd give to people these days would be, understand that your voice is your voice, and there's no way you're ever going to sound exactly like the person you're trying to emulate, because no two people are the same. So technique is the main thing to focus on rather than directly copying. When I first recorded myself, it was a little handheld like tape recorder thing, and I used to put it up on the rafters above our like jam space at that point in time, and scream along through the bass PA, which we had the mic plugged into, because we could afford no gear, and scream. And the interesting thing I always found was like I sounded nothing like what I thought I sounded like, and I sounded nothing like who I was trying to sound like. And I think that's the first reality check that you get when you start actually doing this, is like, yeah, this isn't exactly what I pictured in my head. And that's when you start trying to realize either you really start pushing to sound like someone else and it doesn't quite work, or you really have to go, okay, this is actually me, and you start down that path of developing who you are as a vocalist, which is probably the most important thing you do when it comes to any kind of vocals. I think my family's reaction, God, I never really got much of a reaction from my parents, to be honest. Like, nothing bad. I guess the best thing I could say was my parents would come to the gigs. Like, so it was never the kind of thing of you sound funny or what are you doing? It was just when we started playing, my parents were there from day one, which was really, really cool. I think they'd copped enough of our actual, myself and my brother listening to like heavy music over the family stereo system to at least understand that we were interested in like a kind of music that they hadn't listened to before. But we got really open-minded parents who are really, really awesome. I'm pretty sure there is a hell of a lot of people out there whose parents just go, what are you doing and what are you listening to? It took a long time for me to get any kind of technique, and I'm saying years. And again, that comes down to zero training. Technique is the biggest thing with harsh vocals, because there is 100% technique, and there is exercises, and there is training, and there is stretching, and there is rejuvenation of the vocal cords and everything like that. And these days, like, it's something that I could do for hours, and it's something I can do for every single day. But at the same point in time, I know when I need to rest my voice, and I know how to bring my voice back. Back in the day, it took me about 3 years of being in the band to be able to play more than 3 shows in a row without completely being mute afterwards. And it took me about 5 years before it was strong enough that I could do exactly what I wanted when I wanted, and I understood everything about it, but I still had no knowledge of where that was coming from. And it wasn't until 10 years down the track that I actually went and started researching how this actually works and the mechanics of the voice and everything like that. And basically that step that I took at 10 years would have been really great at year 1. So I would definitely recommend anyone who's interested in developing vocal technique to treat it seriously and treat it exactly like you treat singing.